All right. So we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome everybody on the live and on replay. Just going to put our little intro on and let people come in. If these shows resonate with you, please share. We would appreciate it. And thank you for your continued love and support and contributions that allow us to keep doing this every day. How's it going, everybody? Sorry about the little delay there. We had some tech issues, but we're good now. Got Kerri Lake in the house. This is the second time she's come on. She's a very interesting sister. Let's gonna check in with her and see what's been going on since the last time we talked. There's been a lot been happening in the month of May. Everybody's been affected in a good way, even though maybe it's been a little uncomfortable at times. Let's see. Here we go. What's happening?
Hey, hi, Todd. I'm happy to see you.
It's good to see the horse whisperer again.
There's my friend right there.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot been going on since the last time we talked. I don't know about you, but I know you both on a personal level and I think with clients as well. I mean, you've had to see something going on in May. What's your ride been like?
Everything turning inside out, and really the idea of a paradox being tangible everywhere, seeing the inside and the outside of everything, really like the Taurus watching the inside come to the outside and the outside go back to the inside. Everything feels that way, and it's encouragement more and more to live by feel rather than try to understand and have a map and be headed anywhere. It's just like, what is the information feel like, and who am I? The feeling of me. What am I creating? What am I bringing into it? So yeah, lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah. I like what you said about the polarities. I don't know how you put that, but like the polarities have substance, or they're visceral.
Tangible.
Tangible. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
actually see the physicality, or maybe
Yes.
the integration of physicality and non-physicality, but you can actually see it, and you can actually appreciate it and work with it. It's like
Yes. I think that's the name of the game, is see it and appreciate it. Because really, if you relax and just sort of go at the pace of creation, both same time, right? Then you actually get to watch how things are created, and
Yeah.
you get to watch how this person says this one thing, and that's what creates this other person saying that thing, and oh, that's what made that energy move, and here's me right through
Mm-hmm.
it, and it's happening light speed, but the awareness is outside space and time, which makes it
Yeah.
feel slow and fast at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah,
right? So if you,
that's a great description. On
well,
three
thanks.
levels: the substance, the tangibility of the polarities. A lot of people that have come on the show have talked about kind of feeling split.
Mm,
Almost like the higher self is watching the human self, and the human self is kind of seen through the higher self's eyes.
mm-hmm,
Another part of it,
mm-hmm,
and then of course the connectivity. And then I love the way you brought that back to yourself. My wife is a practitioner as well, and she has this thing. She says it's like a tennis match. You don't have to hit the ball back, and like you said, you notice when you hit the ball back that not only are you engaging the energy that hit the ball to you, but there's a whole bunch of connected occurrences as a result of you hitting the ball back. So the madness can stop. You just don't hit the ball back.
exactly, and you don't even have to catch the ball. You can
No.
go, wow, look at that ball, that is fascinating, that is familiar, but you don't have to catch it, you don't have to
Yeah.
catch anything,
That's
right?
right.
The idea of embodiment and recognizing the purity of your own being the purity of your own being without denying the physical world,
Yeah.
is why would you catch anything? Why not
Right.
just watch it all move? And then when you just give it all space to be in motion, it becomes obvious when it's your time to step in
Yeah.
and speak. Or even, you don't even have to speak, you're just being aware that this was said and that was the response, and here's what changed. Your awareness
Yeah.
makes real the exchange that happened. And when your awareness comes through no filter of, oh, look, that sucks, or, oh, that's what
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, you have no filter. You just go, wow, that's fascinating. Of
Yeah.
course that would happen.
Accentuate the awareness, not the emotions.
Awareness for
And
its own sake.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything,
It's code. It's information.
everything.
It's not meant to engage, and sometimes it is. But I mean, if it's matching you, I guess. But if it's matching you, then it's a very fluid kind of interaction. If it's not matching you, you're actually going to match it. And if you
Yeah,
go to
right. You
match it,
shift yourself.
yeah.
I
So
would say yes, engage, please engage,
mm,
but know who you are when you engage.
yeah,
Be aware if you're engaging from like the back door, the ego sneaking in the back door saying, oh,
yeah,
see, I decided light is better than dark. So ha, I gotcha,
yeah.
you know?
And
And
my hands are clean.
you were exactly, it wasn't me, man. It was,
Yeah,
it was everybody else, right?
yeah,
But please engage, but let's engage with a wide open heart. Let's
yeah,
engage with your realms of gold, with
yeah,
the purity of being, even if your mind isn't quite sold on that yet because
yeah,
it can't figure it all out. You just do it anyway and
yeah,
go, mind, I got your back, buddy, I got you,
yeah,
we're in this together, you're not alone. That's like a lot of the conversations that I have are with the mind, and with the ego, or the spiritual ego even, that is fixated on peace or fixated on light, and and that's fine. But what we really want to do is welcome the mind back into friendship,
yeah,
and say, buddy, yeah, you could totally follow the ego, that's like the class bully, but hey, you could totally go that way. Or you can come to the heart and watch the change in the body, watch how like you said, the
mm,
information, watch how the information changes when the mind is supported, not chastised, but supported to go, oh, I don't have to do it by myself, I'm not
mm,
responsible for the answers. And then that's when you can start to tune in and actually watch everything shimmer.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what realm it is, because you can see how it's all talking, everything's communicating.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much emphasis placed uh, on our multidimensionality, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, our connections. Everyone's, you know, it's becoming more and more of a typical scenario. The crazy people aren't the only ones anymore, right? And so that's a very and I love what you said about the spiritual ego, because that's a very big challenge. You know, you think, oh, I made the connection, I'm home free now. No, you're not, because you're the rest of you, and this is where I'm going with it, gets challenged by your cleverness, right? But
And it,
but
yeah.
you know, it's like there's, like you said about this observation. You know, a lot of times we think about observation, we're observing other people, and then there's the school of thought that, you know, I'm looking at a mirror, and if it makes me uncomfortable, what is it in me, which is all valid and true. But what I'm getting at is like the multidimensionality is, maybe it's because we're embodying, you know, maybe that's what's happening. But what's coming to the surface now are the multiple bodies of the human soul, like
Mm-hmm.
the body itself, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you know, pay attention to your body, see how it reacts. What does it do? Does it constrict? Does it really, does it, you know, does it sigh? You know, and then you have the mind, and, you know, you talk about bringing the mind back in, and even the ego, are the levels of the ego and the levels of the mind and the levels of the body. It's almost like we have a new committee now, or a new council that's made up of the multiple human layers,
Oh, I
and
love that you said
they
that.
all deserve, including the ego. They all deserve they're all part of us. So, you know,
It's part of the dance, absolutely. And it's worth gentleness. It's worth, like, there's nothing to fight anymore, you know. I've heard in several of the conversations that I think you've been having, I've heard the question of what's it going to look like on the other side of all
yeah,
this? Where is it all headed? What is everybody seeing? And the truth is what it's going to look like is exactly how you feel.
yeah,
You know, it's going to look like cars, it's going to look like buildings, it's going to look like trees, it's going to look like coffee shops and conversations, but
yeah,
the feel of it all is what will be vastly different. Your
yes,
awareness of why this connected here will be so much more available. And the way you can know that is because of being aware of how you're feeling as you walk through your life now.
yeah,
If we really are stepping out of space and time,
yeah,
let's play out of space and time and generate, like, okay, my on the other side of this, let's feel this, let's create the unfoldments
yeah,
from this open-heartedness. And then what happens if I actually stay committed to that? And
yeah,
then what happens if I let it be that simple,
yeah.
knowing the universe will take care of the details? Like, it's complicated enough, but I get to keep it
Yeah.
that simple.
Well, yeah, and this whole thing about observation is a great topic, I think, and especially with what you're going with this, because we, you know, we expand to a higher awareness, and then now we're seeing things we didn't see before. So that, you know how it goes. I mean, it just keeps going. But as I'm listening to you, I'm realizing too that one of the things that's happening is we're expanding our awareness, and with that, there's some parallels. We're expanding our ability to see things.
Mhm.
You know, we're not seeing these things, and as we get into the higher sensitivities, we'll be able to see them. So I picture, like, you know, in the old, I haven't seen a newspaper in years, but the old comics, right? The
Yeah.
comics section, and there'll be a person, and they'll be thinking, and they'll have the little bubbles with the thought cloud and on top of them, right? And I can just see us like walking down the street and having that wider awareness, that higher sensitivity, and we start to see the connectivity of our own field, like a bad thought, a good thought, and what it creates, and what we couldn't see before it. And as we start to process that information, we start to say, "Oh, this is how it works. I want a chocolate sundae." You know, I want this. But I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like we don't
Yes.
know how deep it goes, but like through what you're describing, and how somebody does this and then it causes this chain reaction and that and that. We're going to
Yes.
start, I would think we're going to start to see that as our third eyes expand, our sixth sense and higher expand, and actually say, oh, okay, so I did that, or I did that, or now what do I want to do? You know, and it is,
And
it is a beautiful frequency, like a childlike wonder frequency that can be developed.
100%. Yes. That innocence
Hmm.
of not needing to have already predicted an outcome so you're already defended against it,
Right.
you know, and
Right.
instead walk into it and say, huh, well, look at that. That's how you feel. And that's what you're thinking about. I love that you just said that. And you actually made me realize something. Um, and I don't know, maybe it's like this for other people, but what you just described of being able to see other people's thought bubbles, like that's been my whole life. And
Mm.
I didn't really have a way to talk about it. And, you know, and nobody to talk to. And then by
Yeah.
the time I did have people to talk about it, it was just already so sort of tucked away as both obvious and unacceptable at the same time, you
Yeah.
know.
There's that paradoxical tangibility.
Well, and that you brought it up here, it's kind of a revelation for me, and it helps me relax and even be even more gentle to realize that, okay, there are so many people that are just coming into that kind of
Yeah.
awareness
Yeah.
and that articulation.
Yeah.
And um and I for me it becomes even more of an honor to have the awareness that I have.
Yeah.
um and I'm so grateful for that. I love that feeling when it's like, oh my God, look at the resources this one has, and then that one and that one and that one. And it's to me it opens my heart even more to welcome even more
Yeah.
individuals and groups or whatever, more of humanity's heart closer to me. There's still plenty of, you know, little dances in me that are protected, and I'm still working through that stuff. But um, to have that feeling of just this relaxed, wow, what an
Yeah.
honor it is to have this kind of awareness right now, and to have these skills while
Yeah.
the whole world is in, you know,
Yeah.
shenanigans and all
Apparent
in.
by appearances, I think, but I think the human race is actually doing a pretty good job of it. I mean,
Really,
especially, well, and these energies that have been uh, created, let's just say, by the physical uh, constrictions that have been laid out on us, so the programming or conditions
yeah, yeah,
have fed this, you know, isolation, self introspection. But what's interesting too that you're bringing up, because there's, you know, I talk to obviously a lot of people, particularly women like you, that have been doing this for a long, long time. And what I find interesting now is there are a lot more people that are coming into that. Like you said, they're coming into, maybe not to the degree that you or Morgan or some of these others have been doing it for 20 years plus, but they're coming into it, and it's quantum. So they're doing stuff in, say, 5 weeks. It might have taken you 5 months or whatever. But my point is, it's interesting because, you know, the universe kind of speaks to us all. Our experience is unique to ourselves. So they get really excited about, this is what I do and this is what I can do. And I'm looking at it going, but you carry code, they carry code. And the more we kind of like interface, the more this code that spreads. That's the real virus. You know what I mean? I mean, and so it's kind of weird, because it's almost like it's getting so, it's the telepathy is increasing to a point where there's fewer words, and it's more of that feeling that you talked about at the top of the show, which I think is going to start to bleed over, you know, as two people merge energy like this, and, you know, that type of thing.
I love that. I love that you said that. So to me, the idea of home is the place of no words,
Yeah.
where everything is just obvious and you can use words, but you don't need them.
Yeah.
And then when you do use words, then it's like garnish and embellishment and flavor, like, you know, croissants and cookies, because those are a couple of my favorite words, right? And it's just for enjoyment. at that point, or articulation, or instruction, but that it is the feeling where where you have the absence of doubt,
Yeah.
of connection. It's
Absence
an
of doubt.
absence of judgment, an absence of doubt, an absence of separation,
Yeah.
right? And I love talking about the absence of, because it helps the mind, relate in a different way than saying connection. A lot of minds are like, connection, what the heck is that? But
Yeah.
when you talk about the absence of conflict, it lets the thinker tap into that concept a little bit differently, and it'll produce different space for information to say, here's what that feels like, right?
Yeah.
So even if you use your words for the purpose of opening space to be aware of information and of what you feel, to be aware of how much the universe is already providing you all the information that you require right where you are, because there's nowhere you're not, but you're focused in this physical, which is such a gift, because that's where the croissants are, and that's where the hugs are, and that's where the next handshake is, or the next conversation. And again, bringing it right back to simplicity. What if we play at that level of simplicity? There's all this going on, but that information is going nowhere. It's going to be there right when you'd like it. And so you tune yourself to be accessible and open and fluid in the absence of judgment, the absence of wanting, because as soon as I want, I've just refocused.
Yeah. I think
And
that's a big one up this year, and I've seen a lot of it with, and I'm sure you have too, but like the whole, divine partner, divine consort, twin flame, whatever people, and I've seen a lot of people do that this year, come into my field, or Morgan's, with the work she does, where they'll say, I totally let go of everything, the whole attachment to it, and all of a sudden this man came in my life, and I'm scared, and I just had a kundalini every time I get around him. And but it's funny because all this stuff is moving so fast, uh, that these patterns of occurrences, such as couples, you're seeing a lot of couples come together under like really, coincidental circumstances, other people's awakening, having the physical, the kundalini, the same type of stuff that we all went through, but it's happening a lot, and I don't know how you could measure that, but really with this type of energy, this type of code, this type of natural nature code that's being expanded, I don't think we need a huge majority here. I think just a small minority, a small powerful minority, and it's probably already happened, is affecting the entire grid now.
Yeah. Yes. It's one of the places I actually like to play. Like, I don't know what it's like for you guys when you connect and you just go deep in and like zoom in and zoom in and zoom in. There are times when I'll just sit back and I'll go, okay, so just show me the big picture, show me the overall here, and how many are on board. Let's look at the light. Let's look at how much space there is in the undercurrent. And the idea of a critical mass, it's done. It's there.
I think so. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
now it's just a matter of purification.
Yeah.
Welcoming in the realms of gold as all that you are, and at whatever pace it takes, starting to really recognize, like, third eye, good, let's play with that. But what happens then when we start moving from the third eye back to the heart, and welcoming the realms of gold, the purity of being in essence right through the heart, to merge with the third eye, and really almost like saying, okay, third eye, I would like you to function as the heart. And so this is another instrument, right? It's another facet of the instrument that can be attuned. Even just because of how we're built and all the different dimensionalities and everything that we can't even really understand, every facet of our instrument can be really retuned here or retuned here, or a thought can say, I want to tune into that information. But what happens when we just, again, simplify and say, I am my higher levels. I no longer am willing to let any facet of me be unpristine to my realms of gold and the creator essence that I am. Let it come through my heart and show me the way. Take me there. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then my job, my part, to stay aware of my own attunement to that frequency without requiring it to be to look a certain way, without requiring a big show that I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
But instead, saying hello to my computer and receiving the life force and the love of these objects around me, not just,
True.
biological
That's
beings.
true. That's a very good point. Yeah, and that what we once considered inanimate objects are actually just an extension of ourselves. I mean, I used to think I was crazy because I talked to my bicycle, talked to my stereo when I was a kid. Everything to me, I would talk to it. And then I kind of got away from it, and then I don't know, a couple of years ago, I started figuring that out again. So
Yeah,
these are it's all the same God substance. It's us, and yeah, I think that's a good point. And what I love what you say too, about playing with it. Let's play with it. Like, what will happen if I merge my third eye with my heart? What will happen if I consciously align my upper chakras into my higher, and whatever, the sacral with the heart, there's a lot of things we can do there. And I guess my point on your comment is, like the old thing about a muscle, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so if you go the opposite way, we can enhance this. Now this is energy that, by whatever narrative, is available and ready now. And I'm with you. I think we hit the tipping point in the energetic field long ago, and it's just going to play out now. But we can kind of expand the wave in our field by our level of, like you said, commitment. And that's not a discipline. This is a flowy type of, and this is where the feminine energy comes in. It's been suppressed. You flow into this, you feel this. It's a totally different language than this 3D conditioning patriarchal that we're coming out of. You can't explain it really in those terms. It's something you have to experience, and it's going to come through engaging it.
I love that. And when you experience it, then you can let words come from how it feels. It's rather than trying to scan for words that make sure other people understand what you're talking about. When you instead take your awareness to your own body and go, okay, what's that feel like? Give me words for that. You're talking to your higher levels.
Yes, of course.
Your higher levels know what the heck you're about.
Yeah.
The universe knows where you live and what makes you tick and what makes you light up. So come here to your instrument that vibrates and says, ooh, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need, definitions. And then once you begin with the frequency, you begin with the movement in your body, and you let words emerge from that, everybody's going to feel exactly not just what you're saying, but what you're communicating.
Yeah.
And this is my connection with the animals is what taught me that. They live in the place of no words.
Yes, that's right.
And so connecting with
them.
They
talk. But they talk.
Oh my, chatter. They're constant.
But you know what I mean. I mean, you can look in an animal's eyes and you can see it all. And I'm not in the same category you are. I'm not even, have that much experience, but I've noticed that particularly in the last couple, 2-3 years since I've been doing this on the road.
Well, that's because you are available to yourself, right? The more you are available to yourself, that's when the animals go, hey, there you are. I can see you.
Yeah.
And even when people are totally shrouded in their beliefs, the animals will still show up and say,
wake up. Yeah.
There you are. I'm right here. There's still love. One of the greatest gifts anybody can give their animals is to say to them, thank you for loving me. When your dog looks at you and you interpret that as, the dog is saying, feed me. Before you go, saying, yeah, I'll feed you, try out just receiving that and go, buddy, I see you. Thank you for loving me. I would love to get you a treat. It is a game changer because you feel you different. That's receiving. And then when we receive their love, they're feeling love. There's so many people are like, how do I know my, have I done enough?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who are like super duper spiritual and they still wonder, if their animal loves them. And it's a beautiful way to play with that. Just even to the computer, again, back to the computer, my external hard drive. Thank you for loving me, you guys. And it starts organizing yourself to this place of welcoming and recognizing love when it shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think too, that helps with the whole, we spent a lot of time in our past, unconsciously beating ourselves up.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
not
you,
good
never
enough.
mind.
And
I never
yeah,
did.
right. But it's funny. I got a visit last night. So last night was a really powerful night, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, I haven't confirmed that, but it has been that way for what, 2, 3, 4 days anyway. But
Yeah,
last night,
beautiful.
Morgan fell asleep after we connected, and then I couldn't sleep. And I thought, why am I awake? Right. Then everything started happening. So what happened was, I guess, my aspects came in and they were saying, okay, you got this and this and this and this. These are things that will serve you if you bring them into alignment or if you detach, or, they were just different items. And so my human kicks in and starts going, okay, God, how am I going to do this? And this one and that one and this one. And I'm committed, I can do it. But, it's like almost like overload because it's already a lot of energy. And then I kind of heard, okay, listen, we don't operate. I think they said something like, we operate in the past, present, and future all at once. So we operate no time. And this is where you guys are now. This is where the earth, this is available to the earth. The linear is gone. So this is a constructive way to not only come into further alignment, higher perfection, but also to kind of feather out the illusionary stress of time and space, even. So this to me is a lot like what you're talking about with the animals. No space, no time, no words. It's like this is kind of the bubble, the Trinity bubble. No space, no time, no words, whatever that it actually looks like on the other side. But yeah, so it's a lot of things are happening. And when I look at someone like you, and I know because I've been talking to them, particularly this year, and these are people that have been out there like you, and they're like, I'm going through this too. So the human part of it, you can see the embodiment of it. But on the other side of it, how has it affected your skills and abilities, your memories? Have you had any enhancements that are substantial? I mean, are you seeing a level up in what gifts and abilities that you've had for all these years?
Yeah, thank you. That's an awesome question because it makes me really look at it. And the way I would describe the level up is one word: relaxation.
Yeah.
There's no push, no pull, no worry. There's that tangible sense of, well, yes, it's obvious. There's this tangible sense, how people will play, and we do play for a while about, okay, I'm in the perfect place right now. The universe wouldn't give me things that I can't handle, as we're coming to terms with our expansion. Where I've been brought and been watching is there's no convincing necessary anymore. It's more like it's obvious and relaxed.
Yes.
And like, yeah, this is like, oh my God, this is so perfect. Wow, it's
That's a
so
great point.
perfect that this change happened. And it's not a need to understand. That
Yeah.
need to understand has
Yes.
fallen away. The need
Yes.
to be, predict or explain or be seen or recognized, because in that relaxation, I feel completely seen and recognized.
Yeah.
And that, ironically, paradoxically, welcomes
Yes.
others who just show up and say, oh my God, there you are. Look at what you've brought into my life. And, you know, then the psyche sees humans like saying what the ego used to want.
Yeah.
And now it's like weird that it's coming. And my job now is thank you for loving me.
Yeah. It's like a big red flag. Like all that. Yeah. You know, I get that. And I love what you said too about the, you were talking about the, well, it made me think about how, you know, watching ourselves, right? Like the whole thing about convincing. That's what you said. When you don't have to convince anything, because one thing that is happening, which you hit on, is this energy is coming in, and then because it's coming in so fast now and such wider and wider berth every day, you can't understand it all. You can't do it. So a lot of people have said that. They've said, you know, now I know I don't have to understand it. It'll be there. It's in my field. When I need it, it'll show up or whatever. But the other side of that too, you know, is watching either myself or others trying to convince, and how that's falling flat, right? So let's say I put up a post and somebody makes a comment, and it's contradictory, or it's you know, and I engage it, I hit the tennis ball back, and so
with
if I'm
topspin.
right, so if I'm trying to convince someone, am I really trying to convince them, or am I trying to convince myself?
That's
So
such a good question.
you know what I mean? So it's interesting to watch it, because it's the other side of that. But I think because of the fact that we're able to see, you know, thank God for the internet, thank the goddess for the internet, but we're able to see a lot of different mirrors of ourselves to show us what we still have, you know, active in ourselves.
Yeah, and yes. And the kinder you are with that, you know, if there's something that plucks my strings, that's familiar, you know, something I used to hold a fight about, something, you know, I used to have an opinion about, I feel those strings plucked. And at one time, when I would feel strings being plucked, it felt like there was something to go conquer or accomplish or straighten out or remedy, you know, or fix or reharmonize or bring to peace or whatever. But in this place of relaxation, where there's no doubt of being embraced by the universe and the love of creation, when they're in that absence of doubt, if strings are plucked, now the response from my heart is, whoa, you're having a hard time with that. I can totally get that. Look what you've been through. Hey, no worries, I got you. And there's this feeling, there is a presence with this tone of, I got you.
Yeah.
That we offer from the heart through the density to the heart. And it's like connecting my heart with my heart, and including all of the disharmony within that, because the heart to heart, you know, self physical heart to creator heart, when that connection is the commitment, the priority, the presence, the tangibility, then disharmony it's just disharmony. And it's obvious that shine this light, turn up the volume, and the disharmony goes, whoa, you see me? Well, I've never felt that before. What, you know, and you just watch everything go, ooh, ah, and it all just comes together differently. Not better, worse, whatever, just different.
Yeah. And that whole thing with the heart, you know, that the heart, the let's say the human heart, you know, the human soul heart, the higher heart, and all the hearts in between. And I guess that's where I was going back with it too, is all these levels of the human field, not even counting all that which we're embodying, but I mean the discovery of all. The body talks, the body feels, the inner child, the inner teenager, you know, the labeled ex-spouse, the, you know, all the different hats that we wore and that were kind of left behind and ignored out of our own unconscious programming. you know, it's interesting because when you do start to have that conversation with the mind, you know, and all the different, the committee comes in, somebody in the room needs a hug, right? Somebody, there's somebody's out of alignment. So,
Right.
you know, it's almost like we went out there, bring these, you know, higher aspects in alignment, and now the real work, the boots on the ground, is bringing all of our, you know, all the hats and the mask and the roles that we played into alignment, not just this life either. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's previous incarnations. And then of course, that's the goal of this trip to me, is the interaction with two or more, that you start to see that materialize in your experience.
Yes.
Because for instance, you know, I come home from work, you know, a house full of kids, and you know, I used to fly out, you know, for 10 years. I would just come in on the weekends, and you come in, you know, you got a high powered job, and you're da 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 da, and the whole world revolves around me, and you walk in the door and you got 5 kids pulling on your leg, you
Yeah.
know. Hey, I just need to go to my room, everybody needs to leave me alone, you know,
Yeah.
until one day I was told, hey, you know, what goes on in your life is no less or more important than what goes on in mine. And that was from a 6-year-old. I was like, oh, but this is my,
Bless you for listening.
but you know what I mean, this is a
Yeah.
copy of my field, my human field, with all these newly realized parts of me, including the body, including the ego, including the wounded child, wounded teen, and it's bringing, it's searching for that, you know, that alignment. And you're right, it is a heart to heart to heart, because it's all heart, every bit of it.
From the heart toward the heart. And it get again, it's for the mind, wherever people's minds are, you know, the whole dance, all the questions and everything is the mind coming to terms with the presence of life and
Yeah.
not needing to control life. And so what happens? Who am I if I exclude nothing, if I exclude none of that? And if my mind is having a hard time and I'm not excluding it, who am I in relationship to the mind? And am I, you know, going to show up with a machete and
Mhm.
a shield to my mind, my
Yeah.
own, another aspect of me? Or now, this is why this is what the space is so beautiful for
Yeah.
now. All the space we have opened up by so consciously walking and saying, I refuse to live that old way. I refuse. The space now exists that we can simply say, I am this presence that excludes nothing. I am the benevolence of creation. So show me what I need to bring my loving awareness to. And even if it's really thick and chunky, you know, like when people have something
Yeah. Thick and
really
chunky.
sticky that they're absolutely sure is never going to dissolve, right?
Yeah.
We just walk them through and you know, just say, okay, little stuck, you know, hard rubber gasket, you're welcome to exist if you can in this light. And giving it permission to exist gets its attention. You're no longer fighting and saying that should not exist. You give it full permission to exist, whatever it might be. And then just know that the light is a higher frequency. It's moving faster than that density. There are cracks and nooks in between every particle of consciousness. So let's bring that light right in between and through all these dense chunks and just turn it up.
Yeah.
And you know, some people would say just love it. And that's fine, but let's not get the ego involved in what loving it is, and instead just say, well, let's play a frequency here. Let's bring the frequency of my divine presence right up to and through this thing, and it is welcome to exist
Yeah.
if it can in this light. And then you just literally, you can watch it start moving in
Yeah.
consciousness, and invariably opens and expands out, just like adding heat to water creates steam. It's really the same sort of dynamic, that your awareness and your attention and your presence is the heat that
Yeah.
creates movement.
It's the alchemic uh catalyst. You know, the love, right? I mean, so like we've all had moments, and hopefully we've had more and more of those moments where we've stood in love, like
Yeah.
with others, like in a situation where it's obviously imbalanced, or maybe you're being attacked, or, and even in that moment when you can't take it into yourself, like, I need to go maybe do some inner work and wonder, why is this person making me mad, or, but you're just in that moment, in that spur of the moment, and you just go quiet, you hold your field, you stand in love. And we've all watched external transformation, in one way or the other. But
Yeah.
so why wouldn't we do that to ourselves? You know what I
Right.
mean? Why wouldn't we? I mean, it's so cool what you say, and it's interesting. I get it. I've never heard it put that way, but one thing I do understand is I'm not this and I'm not that. I'm not that husband that I thought I was. I'm not that worker I thought. But the crazy thing is, once you detach from that, you can't be holy and whole unless you bring it with you, because it's part of you. You know what I mean? But it's not the part of you that was to be dominant and over identified with. It's just a part of you. It's a universal aspect of you in this universe that's contained in this physical body. So
And yep.
it's so crazy. This is that paradoxical.
Yes. Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
you
Yes.
can't just look at one. If it looks round, go look the other way, because it's going to be a square too.
So,
This is
like,
in.
right. What else is here? What else is here? But I love what you said too. Okay. When the more we're embodying the purity of what we are, the more you start to look at things universally, as you just said. Maybe this person has conflict, or maybe we walk into a room and we feel conflict, and the old has been, is this mine, or is it theirs?
Yeah.
How do I address this? And my question is, who cares if it's mine or theirs? It's presenting. It's a
Yes.
frequency other than the love that I am.
Yeah.
So if I really do need to know the granular details, that information
Yeah.
is accessible. But before I go noodling it out, I'm simply going to recognize this is a frequency other than the purity of my heart.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me. Thank you for loving me. Heart center open. And I'm just going to expand and bring that frequency right up to this density that I'm going to give permission to exist. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. La, 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 la. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. It's right
Like
there.
Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
I think.
And I'm just, mine, yours, are we a collective, or are we going to separate out so that I don't have to,
Yeah.
feel you? Not that I'm going to soak everybody else's stuff in,
No, but
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 once you're emanating,
yeah.
you can't absorb other people's
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too. The stronger your field becomes, somebody, I work on myself like everybody does, and I can look back like 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, somebody comes at me, which I used to get a whole lot of that. Okay. And I didn't respond to a lot of it. I learned just to not make a comment, no, just don't even say anything, don't answer the message, and occasionally fall off the wagon, and you tell someone to go F themselves and punch them between the eyes. But as now, when things happen, that emanation kind of is my force field. And going back to what you said, and I've only been really aware of this since the end of last year for myself, and that was honoring my emotions, but also the body. Like, once I started to honor my emotions, then I started to go, oh, when I feel angry, my body does this. When I feel threatened, my body does this. So when somebody comes at me now, it's not often that I feel it. And if I do, it's slight. It's not like a total constriction of my muscles or anything. But so that's what happens though. And so it's not as, for me, it's not as difficult to figure out, is it mine? Because my body's not going into convulsions, and and my heart rate doesn't start increasing, my breathing start getting faster. But I still have my moments, don't get me wrong, I'm not walking on water.
Hello, human.
Yeah, you're nice to meet you. The human is the hero.
Yeah, and that kind of awareness of watching the body is always going to be providing the information of what am I walking into, and being accessible without judging that the body should never be uncomfortable, you know?
Right.
Like if
Right.
I'm doing it right, then I'm never disturbed by anything. No, there
Yeah.
is no doing
No.
it right. There's
No.
being you and engaging and expressing your presence, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what you just said is one of my favorite things to
Yeah.
share with people. And it's honestly what I learned from the animals when I was like
Yeah.
11 and 12
Yeah.
is why does my body, why even my face changes form when I'm with
We're
animals?
shapeshifters. It's true though.
It's
You
true.
see people and you know, and I'm sure me too, but you actually look like a totally different person,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. And you watch that, and I started going, okay, so here's how the body is when I'm with the horses. And then a human walks in the room and the body changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Or your
that was,
mother, or your mother, or your ex-spouse or something. You're like, ah.
yeah. And you're like, that's sad. And that's how I started mapping out what
Yeah.
emotions are,
Yeah.
you know, from watching the changes in the body. Because
Yeah.
when I was a kid, when people used words like sadness and anger and all that stuff, it made no sense because it didn't match, you know, their body didn't match their mind and their heart. There was no congruency. And when you have that ability to watch all these bubbles of thought and,
Yeah.
you know, psyche and subpsyche, and then, you know, parapsyche and blah blah blah, then you really want things to be congruent if
Yeah.
you're a little kid, because you're just trying to figure out how to do this life thing,
Yeah.
you know. And
We didn't have a chance.
no,
There was a,
that's
we
true.
did
That's the
we designed,
compassion.
but you know, back to your point about the you know, the, and that's one of my big red flags is somebody that tells me I'm always cool, I never get triggered, da 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 da, I got it. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I mean, I've been there, you know, so,
Of course.
but anyway, I remind myself, you know, because things for many people, I think, have gotten smoother and smoother, more synchronistic, more flowy. You know, it's kind of an adjustment to get used to it. But we actually came down here. The physicality is such a coveted gift in the universe because so many of our incarnations don't have this level of density. Not a bad word. This is what we came here for. Now the question is, do we want to go through, be run through the mill every day and contend with the same loops and the pain and the suffering, or do we want to kind of refine this thing? And that doesn't mean that we're not here or there's anything wrong with feeling anything. This is actually the gift of the human experience, is to feel these emotions, the
Yeah.
sadness, the anger, all these things that have brought us this incredible contrast of polarities
Yeah.
to gain a wider berth in the 0 point, you know, to expand the universe's 0
Yes.
point.
And so this idea, so I'll just share my view of this iteration of human after, you know, humanity destroyed itself a few times in the
Mm-hmm.
past. It was, to me, this is what it looks like after the last, you know, crash of humanity. It's like from a very big place, we said, all right, let's try it again, but we're not going to put any judgment that, you know, going against your heart is bad and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
We're going to give humanity free reign. We'll call it free will, right? You go do what you do, and there's no punishment either way, but everything, you know, you'll have the opportunity to see the effect of your actions. We can call it cause and effect, but let's make bigger space for that, right? And so humanity's been bumping off of itself, saying, "Woohoo! I got freedom. I can kill whoever I want," you know, and have played that out all the way. And really, the whole time, the experiment was, I wonder if humanity will rediscover the heart. I wonder if
Mm.
humanity will rediscover that, yes, you have the freedom to destroy whatever you want. I wonder if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And will humanity as a whole choose the connection over the power?
Yeah.
And
And
that's what I've been watching happen, is the answer was yes, we
yeah,
will.
I believe so. I believe we have. I
Yes.
believe
And back in
energetically we have.
1987.
Yeah. But I think that it's going to play out a little bit. And and at some point, there's going to be enough human conscious, I'm talking awake state of the laughing and the giggling and going, oh my God, this was awesome, man. Like a
Totally.
roller coaster ride. And you get to the end. What does Atticus say? I want to arrive to my death a little bit tired, a little bit drunk, and in love, or something like that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
you know.
Yeah.
So, do
Yeah.
you have before we get out of here? Do you have anything that you want to expand awareness on that you're doing, or let people know where they can find you, or anything that you wanted to talk about?
Thank
Or
you so much for that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Working just, I love working with people one-on-one. That's a lot of what I'm doing. We're putting together more opportunities for people to show up and into conversations, just free hours here and there to feel themselves, include themselves in the harmony of the natural world, to have a more simple understanding of the animal kingdom and how the animal kingdom opens the hearts of humanity. So I would just encourage people to visit my website or my Facebook page, because I'll always be announcing it there.
okay,
My work has been transitional too. And right now I actually have this amazing opportunity to potentially contribute to some wild horse programs, working with wild horses and helping people feel themselves in the presence of horses.
Mhm.
And it's it is indescribable. Like dolphins, a lot of people call horses land dolphins because they will just look right through you and
Yeah,
just wait for you to show up,
yeah,
and not hold it against you if you don't. You know,
yeah.
it's really, really amazing. So I've been very blessed to connect with some people recently who really get it. Like they may not ever enter into the spirituality,
Yeah,
but they get it.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's something I think I really want to offer to people. um,
Far out.
the point of all this integration and embodiment is not to rise necessarily above and beyond and never be touched by the dregs of humanity. It is to get to know who you are and how it feels to be the presence of light.
Yeah,
And then who cares? What am I doing today? Where am I
yeah,
showing up
yeah,
today? Go at the pace of what's in front of you
yeah.
rather than
There,
trying to escape. I mastered escape.
we all did.
And
We all
and
did.
but it's to be,
So,
moving at the pace of
yeah,
my pen as
yeah,
whatever. But how simple can this really be, right? How simple is this really?
yeah,
If the universe is really happening and I'm here going at this pace, how much can I really be embraced by this pace?
yeah,
How simple can I really make a game of that?
yeah,
And you're going at the pace of nature,
yeah.
and you can
Because that's what
feel
you are. That's what we are.
it's what
That's
it's
it's what it's
be included.
that's
Like,
what the animals bring. We've been staying at this place. We're fortunate enough to have be able to stay here, and so Morgan feeds the animals in the
mm,
backyard. It's a subdivision. It's not a you know. So it started with two squirrels and a possum, and now there's 7 or 8 different birds. There's a snake. There's a field mouse. There's a
like
fruit
Evan
rat.
Almighty
It's
will
like
show up.
they all come, they all take turns, and it's a very communal type of atmosphere. Only the crow gets attacked by the mockingbirds, but that's about it. Uh, yeah, very good to see you again. I look forward to
Thank
collaborating with you again and
you,
again. And
Todd.
thank you for what you're doing, and thank you and all of these primarily women, to my knowledge, that have been doing this work for many years. Many people, many of them without any notoriety whatsoever, but they've been doing the grid work. They've been doing the one-on-ones. They've been doing the energy work in the etheric fields. And so, thank you for paving the way for us and making it easier for all of us, so we didn't have to go through the same pain and suffering.
Thank you, Todd. And I appreciate you all, that you keep showing up for all of these conversations. You even when you're tired and, like afterward, you'll say, I didn't know I was going to make it through that one. And your honesty and your candor, I appreciate you so much. So thank you for continuing to show up.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, and all blessings to you and yours. I'll
Thanks.
see you later.
See
Take
you
care.
later.
All right, bye-bye. Bye, everybody.